All right, today we're going to talk about a skill that honestly can completely change the game for you. It's all about being constructive. It's the secret sauce that turns those amazing conversations you have into things that actually happen. You know this feeling, right? You're in a meeting, the energy is just buzzing, ideas are flying all over the place, and you think, wow, this is it. We're really onto something here. And then crickets. The follow-up email never lands. All that incredible energy just vanishes into thin air. That brilliant, world-changing idea just becomes, well, a nice memory. This is the classic problem of actionless talk, and we are going to fix that today.
So, what's the solution? You might think it's about being more creative or having some kind of rare genius level idea. But nope, the real game changer is something way more down to earth. A skill that anyone, and I really mean anyone, can learn and master.
Okay, check this out, because this distinction is so important. We always put creativity on this huge pedestal, right? The search for something brand new. But what actually moves the needle, what gets things done, is constructiveness, the simple pursuit of the next step. You don't have to be a creative genius for that. It's not about having the biggest idea, it's about making sure any good idea has a future. So, let's nail down a definition. Being constructive is simply the ability to steer any conversation, any situation, toward a real, concrete action. Think of it like a bridge. It's the bridge that gets you from the land of talking about it to the land of actually doing it. And the best part? It's not some vague, abstract concept. There's a formula to it. And this is really the heart of everything we're talking about today. It's built on three key things: finding one tiny minimal action, building what's called an action ladder, and getting instant feedback along the way. This is a practical system you can start using like tomorrow. So let's take that formula and turn it into a super practical toolkit. We're going to break it down into a simple 3-step action plan you can use in any situation. Here's the roadmap. It's so simple. First, you just find the smallest possible thing you can do to get the ball rolling. Then, you map out the next few steps by building an action ladder. And finally, you create a little feedback loop to make sure you're always heading in the right direction. This is how you systematically make ideas happen. Let's really focus on step 1, because honestly, this one is everything. The minimal action is your secret weapon against procrastination and inertia. The only question you have to ask is, what is the absolute smallest, easiest thing we can do right now? Not tomorrow, not next week, right this second. And this quote from Mei Shang just nails it. Think about it. Picking up a marker to scribble something on a whiteboard is a minimal action. It's tiny, it takes zero effort, but it completely changes the dynamic of the room. It shifts everyone from just passively talking to actively building something. That simple act is you seizing the initiative. Okay, so once you've made that first tiny move, you need to keep that momentum going. That's where step 2, the action ladder, comes in. You just break the big goal down into a series of small, easy steps, like rungs on a ladder. But you also need to make sure you're climbing the right ladder, which is why step 3, instant feedback, is so critical. After each little step, you just check in. Hey, is this still working? Are we all on the same page? That little loop of action and feedback, that's where the magic happens. All right, theory is one thing, but let's see how this actually plays out in the real world. We're going to look at a few examples that show just how powerful this whole framework can be. First up, a classic. We've all been here. You're at a dinner party, maybe a casual hangout. The conversation is just electric. People are bouncing these amazing, brilliant ideas off each other for some new project. But here's the problem, right? The dinner ends, everyone says their goodbyes, and those incredible ideas just poof. They evaporate. They become a fun story instead of a future success. The moment is totally lost.
So, how does a constructive person stop this from happening? They use one simple, almost magical phrase. As things are winding down, they just say, okay, let's nail down the implementation. That's it. That one sentence completely shifts the energy. It signals to everyone, hey, this is real. Let's not let this die. It gently pushes the group to think about the very first step.
Here's another great one, this time in a sales meeting. The typical way to end is, okay, well, I'll wait to hear from you. You're basically putting the ball in their court and hoping for the best. But the constructive way, you create a next step for yourself that needs their input. Asking for more requirements gives you a clear reason to meet again. You're not waiting around, you're actively building the next step together.
Okay, final case study. What do you do when somebody makes a request that just seems completely impossible? The easy, non-constructive response is to just say no, can't do it. But that's a dead end.
So let's say you're in charge of the company canteen. A manager comes to you and says, we need 2 more meat dishes every single day. You know the budget makes that a total non-starter. Instead of just shutting them down, a constructive person digs a little deeper. They try to figure out the real need, which is probably just more variety. So they say, I get it, the budget won't stretch for that, but what if we did monthly theme days with some really cool seasonal stuff? See, it meets the real need and turns an impossible demand into a fun, collaborative solution. Okay, we have gone through the theory. We've seen the examples. Now, for the final piece of the puzzle, let's make this personal. Because a huge part of being constructive starts with the words we use, and maybe more importantly, the words we stop using. We all have these little verbal habits that are just conversation killers. Words like boring or pointless or the all-time classics. I have no time, I have no money. Even if we don't mean it, these words send a signal that the conversation is over, that we're not interested in finding a way forward. So how do you ditch them? Here's a simple 3-step challenge. First, ask a friend you really trust to just listen for them and call you out. Second, and yeah, this one takes a little guts, record yourself having a totally normal conversation. And third, just listen back to it one time. I'm telling you, just hearing yourself say those words is often all it takes to make you aware and help you cut them out for good. And that brings us to the end. So I'll leave you with this question. Think about the week you have coming up. What is the one conversation, the one meeting, the one call where you can be the person to find that first minimal action? Who's going to be the one to pick up the marker? Because that one tiny step, that's how everything real actually begins. Thanks for listening.